Hello, beautiful souls. Today I want to remind you of your innate power and your innate beauty. I want to remind you of the fact that you were born this way, that you don't need to become powerful and beautiful because you were born powerful, worthy, and beautiful. And I'm here to inspire you to own that identity with all of your heart. We don't even realize when they took it away. But I do believe one of my mantras, in fact, that comes out of my book, Butterfly, My Soul Got Wings, What Life Has Taught Me, book one is every soul has wings and was born to fly. And I pray that this episode takes you and moves you steps closer to unfolding your wings or to increasing their latitude and beauty. May you move steps closer towards emotional and spiritual freedom. And so, from my soul to yours, butterfly, a tiny padlocked metal cage. This has been my long abode. I forced my precious wings to fold till my soul became of age. I never saw my true colors. I never spread my wings. They fluttered at the thought. They wished to hear the key. My wings and I so wished that we'd someday be free. And yet it was my colors, intense and bright and new. Meshed metal melted mysteriously. I flew and flew and flew towards clear-colored azure skies, scattered with golden angel dust. Finally, my wings and I had claimed our precious, rightful space. I am the colors. I am the wings. I hold the key. I now am free. Thank you. You see, not all cages are made of steel and bars. Some cages are made of self-doubt. Some cages are made of shame. Some cages are made of unprocessed wounds. Some cages are made of self-judgment. One of the most important contributors to living in captivity is the faulty belief that the key to our joy, our freedom, and our abundance is in someone else's hands. At an unconscious level, we tend to incrementally give our keys away for a host of reasons, most of it being social scripting. And so I spent most of my adult life feeling trapped. I felt trapped by what had gone down in my life, the level of complex trauma that I needed to navigate, that at 35 I was still navigating. I felt trapped by wrong choices that I made. I felt trapped by past mistakes. I felt trapped by my own diminishment. And, it was like a series of betrayals, series of violations, series of disappointments. Everything was a series, to a point that I actually eventually asked, what is written on my forehead? Please abuse me? Because that is really what it felt like. So, why me? I asked. Why now? Why this? And that why question really kept me trapped for a very long time. Yet, I learned that freedom does not begin when we have all of the answers. That freedom really begins when we no longer need to have those answers. I spent years waiting for others to approve me, to validate me, to tell me I was enough, to tell me that my presence mattered, that I counted, to tell me how beautiful my butterfly wings were. Except I was expecting them to tell me that, but my wings were folded. I was in a state of diminishment. They could not see my wings, so they never said anything to me. But I held them ransom, hey, because they didn't compliment me. They didn't recognize me. I spent years comparing myself to others. Their height, because I am so tiny. So I wanted to be taller. I wanted to be thinner. I wanted to, we still went through that phase of, well, I guess it's still around. But, your hair needed to be super straight. And mine always had a kink. So what happens is we spend, when the reference becomes external, because internally we have not owned our sense of worth, when we spend a lifetime trying to be like others, wanting their gifts and talents, wanting their bodies, wanting their hair, whatever it is, we truly forget who we are. And inextricably linked to freedom is the ownership of the fact that you are so unique, that you are so worthy, that you are so sacred. So, who are we to make others custodians of our levels of self worth? Who are we to accept their opinions as factual in our lives? So we can spend so much time admiring someone else's canvas, focusing on their colors, focusing on their uniqueness, that our very own sense of self gets diluted in the process. And so that's what many of us do. We abandon ourselves in order to be loved, in order to be accepted. I was 35. A lot happened at 35. And I came across a life-altering quotation that went like this, and that quotation really translated into an epiphany, which was the beginning of my freedom journey. The quotation went something like this: nobody hurts, angers, or humiliates you without your consent. I'll repeat that. Nobody hurts, angers, or humiliates you without your consent. I resisted that quotation and I counted. It was 3 days that I wrestled. And my reason for wrestling was this did not make sense. I tried to intellectualize it. You see, why this did not make sense is because I had the mental paradigm. I was sitting in a space of victimhood, of victimized thinking. I was sitting in a space of, they are doing it to me. Why? Why poor me? Why do they continue doing it to me? But we actually attract who we believe we are. And I literally had made them the custodians of my worth, accepted their opinions as factual. I had given away my key. And whatever, and most times we do it unconsciously, by the way. So by the time we realize that we're in a state of diminishment, that we have abdicated our authentic power, we don't know how it happened because it is unconscious. It is through scripting. It is through not being told from birth that you are powerful and that you are beautiful. But I want to say to you today that if you have consciously or unconsciously given your key away, anything that you give away can certainly be reclaimed. The other thing that contributed to my freedom was reframing the chrysalis of my life. So the butterfly cannot emerge as this free and beautiful creature until it has undergone its full developmental process. And integral to that is its time span in the chrysalis. So the chrysalis is a prerequisite for its freedom and for us to experience its beauty. What am I saying to you? I'm saying to you that captivity isn't always captivity, that when we reframe it, it really can be incubation. I'm saying to you today that what we sometimes consider as limiting and as restrictive is actually so transformative. What appears like punishment is really preparation. And where you are right now, what you may currently be fighting or what you have fought in the past, where you are experiencing discomfort, where you are experiencing inertia, where you are, when it's so delayed that you no longer recognize the delay. The delay in its prolonged state almost becomes the state of permanence. But that very delay can also be developmental. In my life, it certainly was. So the butterfly cannot break through unless it is ready, unless it's completed its developmental course. We cannot break through unless we are ready, unless we have allowed ourselves in that incubating space to be refined, to become who we have been destined to become the characters worthy of our purpose and our goals fulfillment. And so, even in the introduction of Butterfly, My Soul Got Wings, I invite the reader to go on this journey, which is one that takes you from captivity to freedom. Except I now realize that, was it really that? Or is the journey simply about becoming? Is the journey simply about being refined in a way that makes breakthrough in our lives imminent? Yeah. In nearly closing, I'm here to say that every chapter in your life, every wound, every betrayal, every disappointment, and every season has led you to who you are today and can still become as a result of the very things that were meant to break you. When we frame and reframe those things through the lens of a visionary and not a victim, they no longer have the breaking effect, they have the building effect. In closing, I want to say to you, you know what? You don't just hold the key. You don't just hold the key. You are the key. Because you are inseparable from your embodied conscious choices. You are inseparable from the choice to choose a response. You do that. You are inseparable from your visions and your dreams. All of these things are internally generated. So you don't hold the key. You are the key in your becoming, in your refining. I said I'm not going to do another take. This thing's going to be authentic. In your refining, in your owning every aspect of your story, and in owning your true innate worth and innate beauty as a child of God. So thank you for joining me today. Keep honoring your colors and your wings. I hope that you are feeling a trifle more inspired. If you are free and if you found your wings, just know that its latitude, their latitude, are ever increasing, because the difference between us and a butterfly is that the butterfly gets to transform into its identity only once, but we get to transform as many times as we recognize our captivity, our self-sabotage, and our mediocrity. Until next time, blessings, all my love and light. Bye then.